Christmas. No, the NBA season. It is upon us whether we are ready or not. And Pod Thorn's here to talk to you all about it. New York City is. Let's do it.
Pod Thorn. Pod Thorn. Pod Thorn.
My God. Are we here already? Are we in some kind of time machine? Like the NBA season starts in 3 measly days. And the Pod Thorn crew is all here to talk about it. Gentlemen, let's go clockwork and saying hello. My dear man, Kool-Aid. ¿Qué pasó?
¿Qué pasó? I'm here. How's everybody doing?
I hope
Let's get
everybody's
busy.
good.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited for the season.
Let's do it. Our next person, we spent the entire summer arguing with each other. I know he may not be ready for some basketball, but basketball is here. Bam! Say hello to the New York Cities.
Well, we are back, as you said. Not only have we arguing all summer, we argued like an hour ago about the Nets spending, which we've had this conversation a million times. And like you said, whether we're ready for the season or not, it is here. My juice level is rising, but it's not overflowing just yet.
We're gonna get you on board, man. We're gonna get you on board. I argue with you because I love you, and I want you on my side. You know
I argue with you because I'm a prick.
That too.
Yeah.
Yo, and last but not least, my homie, Macaroni. I thought I saw you in Manhattan today, Sam. I almost ran down the block and just talked to some guy that was not you. What's up, my man?
I mean, I was walking around Manhattan a lot today, but it could have been me. But I can't believe that all the Philly sports teams are doing great. It puts me in a bad mood. But I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to talk Nets.
That's the worst, right? I don't wish them success at all. But you know what? Let these two teams have success because the most important one that we need to fail is the 76ers. Gentlemen, let's get right to it. We'll talk about that 76ers pick a little later. We just had a whole normal preview. I mean, a preseason. We're having a preview right now. We had a whole normal preseason, and that's rare for this group. It was needed coming off the offseason that we had of all kinds of, villainy, skullduggery, and plain old bitch-assness. But our preseason went without a hitch, which was important. Going from right to left, Kool-Aid, why don't you start me off with telling me what you saw and just giving me, some of your thoughts on what we saw in the preseason.
Well, what we saw in the preseason, I'm not gonna count the first 2 games because I think that's getting the jitters out. Teams just getting used to each other, the new concepts. So I'm gonna go with the second half. So that's kind of like our season last year.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the ugly, then we saw the good. So when saying that, I saw a team that's buying in from the top to bottom and bottom to top, where this year the role players are actually playing a role so they're more effective because they know what's needed from them and what's expected. The offense, we already scored at the highest clip last year. It just looked like a well-oiled machine the last 2 games, but I'm more impressed with the defensive schemes and how they're using the players in the length, and you can see just by having height how it's bothering other teams. So overall, it was a successful preseason for me. I'm happy because all I looked for was the turnovers going down and the flow of the offense.
I think that's key, but you've been a critic of the Nash and the system that he's running.
Okay. Let me make sure I say this. I want to give Nash credit for going to get Igor, even
Right.
though I loved Igor before. But to know that somebody he can't do it, he's not good at something, to
Right.
get somebody that his guy that can do something efficiently. The reason why I was mad at Nash's system is because we never saw it.
True, and I saw it disappear a little bit in the preseason, even though you shouldn't, pay too much to the preseason, but still, I think they run their stuff more when Ben is on the floor, and surprisingly to me, I've seen them in the half court, and I was shocked at how functional they are in the half court because you hear the critiques, you hear what people say about Ben. He doesn't have a shot. But I think on a team like this with so many shooters and with his vision, and I think he's one of those point guard-esque type of players that could run a system. The system seems to run a little bit more when Ben is, running it. Am I just super hyped about Ben, or do you see that happening? Cool. Did we lose?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I think with Ben, he's everything that's been advertised and more. Because he allows the scorers, the pure scorers, which are our two stars, to do exactly what they need to do, be coming downhill, off the move, as opposed to dribble, and then everybody's waiting and watching.
Right. So overall, you're happy with what you're seeing. Before I go to maybe some.
I am ecstatic. I can't state that more than I am right now. That it looks like we have a plan, and a team like this with a plan is dangerous.
All right, so now the feel-good stuff has come out. Bring us back to the planet, Bam. What have you seen? And I know you've been kind of like not ready to watch basketball, but
I mean,
some of your
look,
responses recently tells me that you've watched more. What have you seen in the preseason?
So I think the biggest noticeable difference in the team is the speed and athleticism.
Yes.
Length. Like there's no LaMarcus Aldridge, there's no Blake. Even like James Johnson was kind of slow. The adding Ben and to this point Royce,
right?
To Kyrie, Kevin, and Claxton, they're getting hands on balls. They're getting up the floor faster. This is the best fast break basketball the Nets have put on the floor since Jason Kidd was here.
Yeah.
And one thing about passing with Ben, there's some concerns there. I'm sure we'll get to later, but passing is a contagious thing on a team. And you see, like Kevin has made quite a few nice passes in transition, Curry the same. So I'm very pleased with the activity level defensively, the pace in which they're playing. There does seem to be a sense of urgency. So those are the things that I like. I mean, for sure, I think Igor was a much needed move. We'll see if it pays dividends over the season.
Correct.
But the most noticeable thing, particularly in the last two games, was just the urgency and speed in which they're playing with.
So I think they're complete, like, Ben fouled out or whatever. But the crazy thing is Ben is not bigger than Giannis. Ben is not quicker than some of these guards we saw yesterday. He's quick. He's definitely quicker than D'Lo though. But is it Igor or is it Ben? Because there's a drop off when he comes off the court on the defense. by the time he leaves the court, it doesn't matter anymore. So you're not even really worried about the defense as much. But is it Igor or is it Ben, Bam?
Well, it's probably it's a combination of things. He's an element that they didn't have last year.
Right.
Both Ben and the coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like what they've done in terms of they've done a few times where they'll run Kevin off 2 screens, and then Ben is basically bringing the ball towards that action to turn himself into both a passer and another screener.
Right.
So they've been able to free Kevin up that way. And, I mean, that's really going to have to be the counter to the team slacking off of him.
Yo, you were a guard. Is that something that you've seen before? Because for me, I looked at it and was like, what witchcraft is this? This dude basically just was his own. He just set his own pick. Like, what part of basketball is that?
Frankly, like Draymond does a lot of that too, because teams are willing to, even though Draymond is a more willing shooter than Ben,
mm-hmm.
teams are still, particularly like when you get into the postseason, they're willing to live with him shooting.
Right.
So it's something that the Warriors certainly do a lot with him. I mean, as a pass-first point guard, to me, like if you would have played me like that, I would have loved it because there's no pressure, there's no hands in my face, nothing in my passing lanes. And for him, obviously, with his height, it certainly is going to open up things for him. You know, I still have my concerns about him and Claxton together, but, you know, I'm sure we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yep. Sam, we've been needing your body language takes. What's the vibes you're getting from preseason so far?
I mean, I don't really, to be honest, I don't really have any body language takes, which I think is like the first time I haven't had any, because I think they just seem like a normal basketball team. Like it.
Let me give you one. Let me give you one that might not have been very obvious. After their first win, after the Milwaukee game, you see Kevin Durant sitting on the scorer's table, and he's smiling and he's laughing and he's doing a little dance and whatever. Old Moody Mr. Pants, sad pants and gloomy Gus, Kevin Durant was smiling and dancing a little jig. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely seems good, and I think a lot of that is also for the fact that I think they have. This is part of the reason why I like their offseason. I think they have a bunch more adults in the room. I think Royce makes a really big difference. I think Markieff makes a big difference. Obviously, you still have Patty, and you know, like the biggest thing about this team, to be honest, and this is, you know, like it might sound simple to say, but it's truly how I feel, is like watching this team, you basically just see how unlucky last year was, because like last year we kind of, or people blamed a lot of things that I don't think were really the root of the issue. Like you had like, you know, like Nash got a lot of blame. You had like the Kyrie Vax thing, which obviously like deserves some amount of blame. You have, you know, like the guys that were signed 9 through 14 or 15 on the team. But the real issue was that like most of the guys that were good didn't play last year. And like when the Nets looked so good against the Bucks and the Wolves, and this is without Harris and Curry and possibly TJ Warren, who might be a part of the group. Like, but they have so much talent, and for right now, knock on wood, they're all healthy, that it just makes a huge difference. I mean, this team it's not as top heavy as the team that lost to the Bucks, but this team is like leaps and bounds more talented than the team that lost to the Bucks. Like, it's not even, to me, it's not even close. Like,
I think
I disagree with that. I disagree. We've had this conversation. We don't have a player as good as that year's James Harden, and I think
I agree with that.
We're probably cheaper, but I'd rather have less depth in that player.
No, yeah, if you told me, yeah, I mean, from a pure scary, like winning a championship, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, this team goes 10 or 11 deep with like real guys, as opposed to like, I mean, by the 7th or 8th guy, you were basically playing like, you know, the Mike Jameses and Tyler Johnsons of the world. Like this, I mean, this team.
Yeah, you're still talking about Shamit and TLC. we was
Yeah,
we was
it's-
stocked with some bad players, and this team has better players than that team.
Yeah.
Going down the line, like I would prefer to have had what I've seen from, and I'm very critical of Dayron and those guys. I think we need better players, but at the same time, I'll take a Dayron over, like, who was our second and third center? I don't even remember. It was just terrible. And Blake was good. I have to admit, Blake was good. And the thing that we don't know if we've replaced, but it looks like we might have, with Royce O'Neal, is Green. He was good, man, and we missed him last year. So I do understand that. But Bam, I would also add to that, you got to take Harden with all of his parts, meaning Harden being injury prone, like that Harden getting a hamstring, like he got hurt without anything even playing. I think that's just indicative of who Harden is going into the future. No?
To that point, he had been a pretty reliable player in terms of showing up and playing and durability. It almost seems like he still hasn't recovered from that hamstring. Like that was like the final straw on his athleticism for his career. But I don't want to get into a revisionist history thing here, but I would have argued that he was the best player on that team in 2020.
Fair. And he definitely played the most.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. Let's think about who we're going to need the most, right? I'll start off because I think it's key to understand, not only what makes the team tick, but what we can't lose in this team. I'll start off and I'll say a wrong answer, but it's my answer, but I think Ben is ridiculously important to this team's success. I think we could survive if we had Ben and Kyrie, or Ben and KD, but not if we had Kyrie and KD. Meaning, even though they look like the two of them together look like the very best team I've ever seen in the playoffs, from my biased opinion, they looked incredible together against the Bucks 2 years ago. But I think for the Nets to be a transcendent team, they need a defense. And what I've seen so far is that Ben Simmons' defense in the box, he puts so much pressure that a good defender like Claxton all of a sudden looks elite. A good but some-timey defender like Kevin Durant all of a sudden is, blocking weak side shots and getting steals and starting the fast break. And, when you have someone who's such a disruptor, who just basically is a blanket by himself, it allows other people to operate. So the guy I'm going to say is key to this whole thing, and not the best player. He's the third best player. That is for sure. But I think he's the key player that opens up our chances to win a championship. What say you, Kool-Aid?
Yeah, I think, they built a team around them. So in building the team around them, you kind of
You're talking about Ben, right?
Yeah, you kind of show his importance. The unique beauty of KD is he doesn't need you to, team doesn't have to build around him. He can play in any system.
Right.
So
he's
if you
freelancing
truly
himself
wanna win,
anyway.
Yeah. So if you
Right.
truly want to win, the best thing to do is have a system around your weakest link, which is Ben. So now he's, got a whole bunch of shooters, but he ties it all together offensively and defensively. Him and Royce. I saw KD play real defense the other night against Minnesota. He really decided to guard. It was a preseason game.
And was excited about it too, which surprised me.
You know what KD Ben and Royce do is you kind of let KD just play like more of a help role. he doesn't have to guard the other team's best player for stretches. So you
Right.
can let him just use his length as, weak side help, getting in passing lanes, that type of thing. Whereas last year, like he's guarding Jason Tatum in the playoffs. So it's
Yeah,
just,
which
that's
is
not
ridiculous.
it's not beneficial for us.
And not the best way to deploy your best player. Did you want to add something on that, Kool-Aid?
Yeah, Bam just alluded to it. Like, so now that KD doesn't have to guard the best, his offense goes back to thriving.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he has to play those kind of minutes, he'll be fresh. So when you see it, I just think that I know it was the last preseason game. I was more worried about injuries than anything.
Me too.
But just in a matter of, I think for us to have our best success, he needs to play 32 minutes.
Yep.
But
Bam.
Ben is the most important person.
Bam, who's your guy? Who do you think makes this whole thing go?
11.
Oh.
Kyrie. Because
Oh,
it's
he
like
looks good. Oh, he looks good.
Kyrie.
He does look
Kyrie.
No homo.
Yeah. Kyrie's I said to you guys last night, like in terms of like how they're going to play this year, I have no concerns about his game.
Mhm.
But Kyrie can torpedo this thing at any point. He's the guy that can make or break the attitude, the locker room.
Right.
And over the last couple of years, like when Kyrie is really cooking, like the Nets just kind of become like very tough to keep up with.
Right.
So, yes, Ben's dimension is a huge. There's no right or wrong answer to this. I just think Kyrie, even like the fans, he's the most liked player on the team. Practice at the park, from what I'm reading, he had by far the best ovation.
Hands down. I think because practice in the park is younger.
Dude, man.
Practice in the park is young fans, and so the TikTok Nets group it's all about Kyrie and I agree with what you're saying. I like what you're saying. Sam, who's your guy?
I said this last year, and then he got hurt. I'm going with Joe Harris again. I just think that this team, when he's shooting the way that he's capable of, as like basically the best 3-point shooter in the league, I just think that they're beyond devastating. And I think the fact that he also has, I know that it's hard to erase the Milwaukee series, but because he was both terrible offensively and defensively, but his size coupled with like his ability to sometimes score in the paint and his ability to guard some wings, and just like when he's hitting from three, I just think they're beyond devastating. I have a couple of stats about with Harris. So in the last 2 seasons, the Nets are 55-28 when Harris plays. When Harris hits 2 threes or more, they're 49-21 the last 2 years. And in the last 3 years, when he hits 2+ threes, they're 77-41. Like they're basically like a 70% win team, a little bit less when he's on the floor and he's doing his thing. And because of that, like I don't know. I think he's the extra piece that just kind of makes them unbeatable. And I also think that there is a difference having him on the floor versus Royce in terms of how much more reliable he is as a shooter. I think Royce Nets fans are going to go up and down with, because his shooting is obviously not nearly at the same places as Harris, and he could be a guy that if his shooting is off, people really start sagging off. Whereas whether Harris is in a slump or not, you have to be on him, and he just creates unbelievable spacing for this team.
He's Royce is definitely streaky, and that's a hell of an argument. It makes a ton of sense. I just wonder, Sam, can Seth play that role? Because I'm looking at Harris being hurt again, and that scares me, and that's one of my concerns on my list of concerns. But because we have Seth, can Seth fill in that piece enough to have the same type of results of that Harris was giving us?
I think the issue with Seth, and it's the reason why, even though he might be my favorite net on the team, why I think he should probably be the odd man out trade wise, is that he's such a disaster on defense that if you're going in a final lineup with Seth and Kyrie, it's just, I mean, we saw what happened in the Celtics series. It's just, I mean, I know that Seth was playing on one ankle, but I mean, defensively, Seth is just bad. He's not good. He's fairly slow. He's not athletic. He's short. He's not particularly strong. And so even though I think he's unbelievably creative and great offensively, his lack of height and athleticism versus Joe, I think, is what makes him just far more expendable in a trade than Harris. Which I think a lot of Nets fans are just kind of sick of Harris because he's got the injury and he's he had the Milwaukee series and he's been with the team for a while. And Seth is this new toy and he's kind of swaggy. He's always dressed really well, but I don't know. I just
his sweats are on point.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm being as rational of a Nets fan as I can be, and this is talking to someone who exchanged his Harden jersey for a Seth jersey, I think he unfortunately is the odd guy out if you're going to make a trade for a stretch big or a real backup point guard, whatever it is.
Yeah, and might be more necessary than we think. All right.
No, I disagree with that. Hold on.
Go ahead.
I disagree with that take. The reason why is Seth makes $8 million and gives you the same shooting and more playmaking than Joe, right? Joe may give you more defense, but if Joe's hurt all the time, you take that $18 million and then you get all the pieces you need.
I like that, Sam.
But if he's hurt all the time, then he also has no trade value.
Yeah, but you still don't want to be stuck with $18 million and can't do nothing with it.
But if he is hurt all the time, you are stuck with him. I mean,
he's a shooter. This is the NBA. He's a shooter.
No, but I mean, if his ankle is as fucked up as what some people thought last year, and now he seemed to calm everyone down. And I agree with you that obviously his money, you can and you've said this to me before, you can obviously take back two pieces opposed to one. I just think that Seth has a decent amount of value, and I think the league is kind of scared about. I mean, it's weird to get two straight ankle surgeries and to now have soreness coming off there. I think Harris's value right now is pretty.
Guess what? And that's fine. You're not asking to get an All NBA player, so even with his value being low, it's still high enough for what we're trying to do.
I mean, cool. The best argument for what you're saying with Harris is that there's going to be so many teams tanking that even if he is hurt, they're going to be like, so what?
But no, but that's true. And it's the NBA. Most people will wait into the playoffs for that kind of shooting. I just think that just like we just saw Wiggins take that deal, that what did Curry sign before? 32 for 4? He might get the same deal again. At 31,
I think Seth Curry is going to approach $20 million in free agency next year.
Nah, not if you extend him now.
A year?
I agree with Bam. I think he's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah,
year?
Joe Harris makes $17 million a year. You know, that contract was signed a couple of years ago. The cap is just going up.
Way up, and yeah.
So you telling me a guy
he's not worth it, but he's going to get it.
Never made 10 yet, right? Who never made 10 yet is going to jump to 20.
Yeah, it might be a shorter deal, 2 years, 40 or something like that.
Well, if the Nets can give him, that. If that's the case,
essentially the Nets are going to be faced with a decision at the deadline. Do we trade Joe and re-up Seth?
Yeah.
Do we trade Seth? We already have Joe under contract for next year. Probably, what they can get back will be the determining factor for those two guys. So I think we're all in agreement one of them is going to be gone at some point this year.
Yeah,
we just don't need them. We just don't need both of them.
What they can't do.
Is Patty gone? Because it's not just those two.
Yeah, Patty
it's
sucks.
A triplet. We get that Patty sucks. We know that. But we were stuck with him anyway this year. No matter if he would have did good, he would have opted out and went somewhere else. But he had the player option. So, I look at it that he's here for Ben right now as his moral support, but he's in that same boat. Do you take him for a run?
I think there's a chance he's gone as salary filler if need be.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear you can't. I think it's clear generally, and I think we're all in agreement that given that Patty's trade value has cratered, and that he's also there partially tied with Sean and Ben. I think you can't. It's hard to justify having these four. I mean, Harris is obviously taller, but the Kyrie, Patty, Seth, and Joe, like someone isn't gonna make it, and that's why I like Joe making it, assuming that he can be healthy, just because I think his size actually is really helpful. But
yes,
Sam,
in an ideal, I agree. In an ideal world, Joe is the better fit, assuming his play and health are what we have come to expect of him. I think he is a better fit. I think both of them should be coming off the bench, frankly.
But the most hilarious thing I've heard on this is the conspiracy theories on why Patty is still here. Supposedly, Sean Marks is just looking out for his countrymen. Somebody needs to tell Nets Twitter that New Zealand and Australia, even though their accents kind of sound similar, it's not the same country. Because like the ridiculous things that I got to argue with. I think Patty's here because of Ben. I think the Nets are investing everything into making Ben comfortable, and if they keep those three guys, will have a lot to do with how good they look with Ben. And if it's a huge offensive advantage for him to have all those shooters, they may come back, and then, which is one of me and Bam's reoccurring arguments, we can figure out how cheap this owner is. Well, another thing that we got to realize is with these contracts, you want to get them done now before the new CBA, because in the new CBA, there's going to be max contracts where guys are making $70 million. That's coming. So these little contracts now these old CBA contracts are going to be considered great contracts when the new CBA comes. Okay. Digesting all the stuff we just talked about. Let's just address all of our concerns and lay them out on the table. Let's exercise them. Kool-Aid, tell me, what is your deepest, darkest nightmare of what could go wrong with this team?
My deepest, darkest nightmare of what can go wrong? Ooh. KD gets hurt.
Not necessarily. Let's not make it let's predict what's hurt. What that is my deepest, darkest.
That's my nightmare.
What I mean more so is it's all of ours. But what I mean, and let me knock on wood.
Rephrase that so I can answer it the way
let me
you would
rephrase it. What have you seen that concerns you? What looks like it could be the biggest problem from what you've actually seen this year in the preseason?
Now, non-injury related. Okay, non-injury related. The worst thing. It don't gel.
Yeah.
But
does it look like it? Have you?
Oh no.
It looks like it's gelling like a motherfucker.
Yeah, but Bam alluded to it. Kyrie could take it all down, and so could a moody KD.
See, with KD, I'm more worried if we get off onto a bad start. If we get off to a bad start and he starts to lose hope, that could take us down. But let's not be negative. What have we seen, Bam, that concerns you?
Claxton and Simmons being unplayable in playoff games, late in games due to free throw shooting.
Talk about that a little bit.
Those guys are absolutely terrible free throw shooters, and it's not going to get better. It's just not. It would have happened by now. They can't shoot from the line. It's in their heads. They have two like Shaqs in their lineup, and that is it.
But here's
That's
the
a
thing,
major
though.
problem.
Here's the thing, though, Bam. It's in the fourth quarter to end the game. I don't think Claxton's going to be on the floor. I think Ben is going to be the point center, and you're going to have those 3-point shooters out there.
Teams are going to put him on the foul line. And you asked what the fear is, right? So like, that to me, that's a big thing. They have right now. They have two starters that are unplayable in a game where foul shooting is going to be in the mix. They are unplayable, and they also happen to be the two best defenders on the team.
True, but
so
I think
that is a double negative. And Ben is not. Look, you're seeing signs of what Ben can do, right? With the passing, his size, his defense. But you're also seeing a guy that is completely reluctant to shoot the ball. How many shots has he taken? Is he even taking 20 shots?
9
the 4 games.
9.
That's
that's
so
what I'm thinking.
This is the preseason, and we're excited. But like, these aren't real games. The scouting is going to change as the games. The game planning changes.
Right. They're going to figure out some weaknesses.
The situational game comes into play, and that is a major concern. Is that they have two guys that cannot take a shot from 15 foot away and put it in the basket 2 out of 4 times. I mean, like, these are 1 for 5 guys. These are guys that can be 1 for 10 in games. We saw it already out of Claxton in Game 3 versus Boston.
Yep.
And
I got
Clay.
I got another nightmare.
Go ahead, Clay.
We don't get that backup guard that can actually maintain a lead or extend it, and now we're forced to play our starters 44 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, the team. It's crazy to say, but the team really needs another ball handler, because I don't trust Curry as a ball handler. Joe can't dribble. O'Neal can't dribble for shit. We don't really, and I don't want Cam Thomas being our point guard.
No. Sam, hop in here. What's your concern? What concerns you, rather?
Yeah, mine is all about Ben, and I sorry, there's a lot of honking going on outside my apartment, but my thing is more so about, and I don't mean to be negative, but I kind of skew the way Bam does on this, which is that Ben has had some amazing passes, and like, him playing well makes me happier than any other net playing well, but like, that dude is still making extra passes when he should be going into people and going into the and getting to the foul line, especially in a preseason game. And what I'm nervous about is, like, this dude. I mean, they play a lot of good teams early on, and they play a lot of teams that are seasoned in the playoffs and are not gonna, fucking take it easy, especially on a team like the Nets, who everyone clearly likes to give their best effort for. And Ben, is going to be put in spots where they're either going to tell him, like, you have to drive, or you have to shoot, or you have to do something. And this whole, like, him playing I'm too cool for school act is going to get old incredibly quickly. He starts kind of making the extra pass or picking up his dribble or doing any of that stuff. And that's why I was not as blown away by his preseason as other people were. And I'm still concerned about him. And to take it another level, I think that if he goes back to a lot of his, scared, hesitant tendencies, I think it's going to be the biggest turnoff of all time to someone like KD. Because, like, that's where KD starts thinking, like, I can't believe, like Harden was part of this. Like this dude is, like, we have this dude here. This dude is, like, too afraid of the moment. KD's the opposite of that. He wants the moment type of thing. And that's where I think you actually have ripple effects of shit actually getting kind of scary.
In a body language moment that I thought about you, and the moment that I saw it, there was
Are you gonna say when he fouled out last night?
No.
When he found out last night, KD was like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
But not towards him. That was towards the
Yes,
ref.
he was. No, it was at Ben. He was like, "What are you doing? What a stupid foul!"
What? That's not what
Go
I
back
saw.
and watch it. When he fouls out, Durant is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, what a stupid. It was a stupid, lazy defensive foul. And like, if that was a real game, you'd be like, "Yo, you just took yourself out of this game in the third quarter for that."
Wow,
I mean,
you saw all of that? I didn't see that at all.
Let's call spade a spade, right? Like KD's comments and every look. I mean, I've been playing like the Twitter and Instagram body language doctor, where KD follows everybody on the Nets besides like Ben. I think there's something weird there. I've always felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
And KD's comments in like during preseason and training camp are not like the most, I'm here to, give Ben a hug and rainbows and butterflies. He's basically like,
right.
I expect him.
When they ask him a hard question about Kyrie, it's all like, I love him. He's my guy. Just,
Ben has no rope with KD. I think Kyrie gives him a lot of rope. And that's why, I think there's nothing that KD finds more frustrating. There's a couple of players, if I'm going to go back to my body language pedigree, like there's nothing that I felt like annoyed KD more than Ben driving and you have two people crashing the lane, and Ben does the extra pass when like the guy in front of him is like George Hill or D'Angelo Russell, and it's like, just go at the guy and either dunk or get fouled. And like, if you miss the free throws, you miss the free throws. But like this, like doing the extra pass and then he gets deflected. Like there were a couple times where I don't think KD sees it as like, oh, that was a good pass, good look. It's a little bit like, dude, I know what you're doing. You're avoiding like what you basically don't want to be doing.
Right. KD, like if you look at the way KD looks at Cam Thomas, shows you his whole basketball perspective.
Great point.
For me, Cam Thomas is a flawed player who's not an NBA player, but he gets buckets. Undeniably, he gets buckets. And when KD looks at Cam Thomas, it's like he's looking at his newborn baby son. Like, yeah, let's get show, do that little fall away shot thing you do. He's so cute, But with Ben, he doesn't like. You don't. I don't think he respects defense. I don't think he respects necessarily court vision. Those aren't the type of players that he seeks out to play with. He wants to play with James Harden. He wants to play with Kyrie Irving, and bucket getters. So that's gonna.
He also respects guys. He also respects guys where the moment isn't too big. That's why he likes Clay and Draymond and
if he respected that so much, he should have stayed with them. No.
Yeah. Well,
he didn't respect that because it's not the narrative. All of these players,
right.
If you're a superstar, you have your own narrative where you want to be the man.
Yep.
And you'll sacrifice something, but the reason why you're that good is it's because of that chip, that arrogance,
right?
That killer instinct. So when you when you at that highest peak for them, where you already led a team to the finals, how do you not want the credit? Like, we can all sit here and say how good Golden State was, but was they beating the Cavs again after they came back 3-1 without Durant? No.
Nope.
So,
not at all.
It's not the team that he ever was going to get the praise like as if he was at OKC. And he's a little soft in that area. So he respects bucket getters because that's what the league makes you respect. Mm-hmm. Everything is catered to the offensive player.
It's more. I do think it's more than that, though. I think it's not just like. I think there are other guys in the league that he respects that aren't necessarily bucket getters. I think it's that KD knows, and I think KD knows what Bam is thinking right now, and what I'm thinking right now, maybe what you guys are thinking right now, which is the big elephant in the room, which is that in a Game 6 playoff game in Milwaukee, with the crowd going insane, like, how is Ben going to handle the fact that people are 10 feet off of him and that, he's he's not driving, and he's not like that. That's the shit because that like to me that's also relatable for someone. Even though I never played sports at a level as high as Bam or obviously even Kool-Aid, like you know like your teammates and you know what their weaknesses are and you know that you're kind of waiting like when is that shoe going to drop of oh fuck this is the thing that like we were kind of nervous about the whole time and now it's coming to fruition. And sometimes people rise to the moment like Giannis did with his free throws, but Ben has never proven that he's going to do that, so that's what I'd be nervous about.
Right, and all of that is fair, but one of my biggest critiques of KD is he's got horrible basketball taste. The players that he thought was good and that would have been good for this team, a lot of it was bad taste on his part. We know DeAndre Jordan was a bad player, and teams need Ben Simmons or Ben Simmons types, and successful teams have had Ben Simmons types. Rodman as an example. The Detroit Pistons.
It's a different era, man.
But still, you still have.
You can't compare.
You still have Draymonds. You still have those guys. You still have Tristan Thompsons.
Draymond if you leave Draymond open, maybe it's not a good idea, but he's not afraid to shoot the ball.
Right, but
I have to say,
but I personally think that a better option is what Ben does, which he gets the ball to the guy who can shoot it, and because they have so many options, I feel like Ben is gonna lengthen Kevin Durant's career. I think that Ben is gonna make him look better because he's gonna defend. Hold on. Respond to this, Bam.
All right.
The other night, I watched Ben Simmons guard Giannis by himself, 1-on-1, and have successful results like 4 times. Right. Not saying you can stop Giannis, but I'm saying if I'm Kevin Durant and I need to add something to the Nets, I need the guy that I could just throw on Giannis by himself more than I need another guy who's going to fucking get buckets.
He doesn't have to get buckets, but he can't be completely out there unwilling to shoot or get fouled. That is it'll be fine in January, it'll be fine in February, March, but when April
in the regular
comes,
season,
it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. And his comments about Giannis the other day were the biggest brick he's thrown up all offseason. He made it showed a total lack of self-awareness. And he was basically like, well, like, I suck at shooting, but, like, so does Giannis. Well, actually, like, Giannis doesn't suck at it anymore. He's drastically improved his shooting from the start of his career, even just back in 2020 with the whole counting down the free throws thing.
I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's poor. He said it poorly.
He said.
I think he said it poorly. But if you're looking at Giannis, right? Giannis gives you a lot of things. Giannis does not give you the court vision that Ben does. Giannis, it's like Ben can't win for losing. I mean, can't win.
All he could have said was, "Look, that's a deficiency in my game that I'm working on, but I still feel like the other things I bring to the table can help this team win." End of story. He made like a colluded argument that like just because somebody else also sucks at shooting, like it doesn't matter that I suck at it. Like it just was weird.
He's had a couple of comments that's why I've soured during this preseason. He's had a couple of comments starting with the JJ Redick podcast now to this moment, which I didn't even know about the Giannis quote that Bam just said, that I thought to be utterly bizarre. I thought his comments about like him airballing that free throw and him saying like, well, a bunch of my teammates airballed free throws, like is just a weird thing to say. I think that he
feels picked on. He feels picked on, and honestly, just going from Twitter, he is picked on, and he's picked on by the media, and he's picked on, and he's defending himself. He is the top 1 percentile of the NBA in talent. He is a freakish talent, and even though he's elite at things that there's no one with the combination of I am the very best potentially the very best defensive player in the NBA. 50% of the game is played on the defensive side, and there's probably nobody better than me at it. And on top of it, I got court vision, and I'm 6'11", and I play point guard. That's fucking incredible. And if you're that incredible and you have that in your bag and you got to deal with fucking dweebs talking about an air ball or zooming in onto some behind the scenes shot to criticize your jumper, that's ridiculous to me.
So,
so he needs to have thicker skin than that.
Listen, every one of y'all making a valid point. The matter of it is, and I said this in our group chat, Ben has to take 12 to 15 shots a game, anywhere from 10 to 15. The reason why doesn't matter if he hits them or misses all of them. You have to give the defense something to play honest. Right now, I get that he's finding his groove, but he has to take those shots, or the offense won't run like the well-oiled machine it should run like. So somebody said something about Draymond Green. Perfect example. We all know he can't shoot. But guess what he does? He takes them. They look ugly. They don't go in. You have to take them. Because if I don't have to play you or have a threat of you even taking the shot, then you don't need to be on the court. It doesn't matter what else you do.
So Kool-Aid, my thing with that is, if you have the elite shooting that the Nets have, and the better basketball play is to let Joe Harris shoot, is to let Patty shoot wide open, is to let KD or Kyrie shoot wide open.
Correct. That's not correct. It's not the better.
Not always an option.
But that's not even the better play because they can shoot it better. Sometimes the better play is you, the person who can't shoot, take the shot.
Right. If you're open, you should take the shot. I'm just saying. I'm looking at good basketball plays where you're giving a 40% 3-point shooter a wide open shot. I think that's a better shot than trying to jump over somebody and dunk on them. I don't get why that's always the best shot in this particular NBA where they reward you so much for the 3-point shot. If you have a 40% 3-point shooter,
the habit. The problem is the idea is that it's becoming a habit for him to be 5 feet from the basket.
You need him to be aggressive.
Right. There's a 6'3" guy standing in between him and the basket, and he's not even thinking about going up and challenging. He's just already looking outside.
Never pass it under the basket. Never.
Well, and I think we can also simplify this. Like, no one here in this group is, and this is something that I've seen a lot from Nets fans when especially when I brought this comment up, is that no one is asking Ben to take 15-footers or 14-footers or 18-footers or like the Russell Westbrook, you have all your momentum and then you stop on a dime and shoot. Like, no one's asking for that. We're asking about him to take layups and to be willing to get fouled, and that's like bare minimum shit. Like no one wants him, and no one is asking him to completely change his game, because I think him becoming that, honestly, at this juncture in his career is just not happening. But he has to be willing to and able to take like the running layups and floaters like we saw in the Sixers series from 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and to be willing to get fouled. And like if you have to go to the free throw line, you go 1 of 2. It's not the biggest deal in the world. And in conjunction with that, I never care about quotes that guys say for the most part, because I think it's kind of like a first takey get up. I don't really care. But when the quotes when the quotes are supported by his play, that's where to me things get more scary, which I think is why Bam brought it up and why I also have brought it up, which is that if you're gonna act like you're the man and kind of like aloof to everything going on, but then on the court you're still kind of the same dude, there's a disconnect that to me just makes me a bit nervous about what's going on there, of like upstairs.
Nah, don't take that as that. He needs to find his chip that made him him. He was broken. Like, the dude just was broken.
Yeah.
So and the quote I sent y'all, when he said, "Yo, this just feels like home," I'm like, oh, that's always good for him to basically say KD and Kyrie and them making him feel at home.
But I guess Cool and Eves, I have a question for you guys, because you guys are probably more optimistic about Ben. Has Ben showed anything offensively, not defensively, offensively from a scoring perspective or from a driving perspective that looks like he is mentally gotten over the hump that he was at a year and a half ago? Because to me, it's like I can't definitively answer that, and I haven't watched like the games as closely as you guys have. I've basically done highlights and have had to go in and out because of conflicts. But that's what makes me nervous because this is preseason. Like he should be doing the random shots that we see in the Nets Instagram videos where he's taking like bizarre back to the basket jumpers.
So the way I look at
that.
Go ahead, Schooler.
My thing with Ben is, and I said it to you, Sam, he's not 100%. Meaning he's healed. The surgery was a success. That doesn't always mean you get your explosiveness back right when the surgery is done. I think you see him kind of a little timid because he doesn't know what he can do yet. I guess this question, I'll be able to answer it in December. Because if he doesn't get that explosiveness back, then this is him. And that's what I got to judge him on.
Can I read you guys? Can I read you guys a quote from Scottie Pippen?
Yep.
This is a quote from Pippen. I think it's a good way to just kind of tie up Ben. And he said, this is the exact quote. That's his weakness, shooting the basketball. If you take that away from Ben Simmons, he has no weaknesses. That's Giannis's weakness too. But Giannis doesn't mind being humiliated. That's the difference between him and Ben. Giannis will go to the free throw line and shoot 2 fucking air balls and come right down the court the next time and try to dunk on you. If Ben misses a free throw, he's going to start passing before he gets to the free throw line on the other end. That, to me, is the whole idea that we can't have this guy playing scared. You want him to be instinctive. Yes, making the extra pass sometimes is the right call, but he has to have a mindset of he is a big dude. Right. And, to Clay's point, maybe his leaping and his jumping isn't quite there yet, but we need him to be in attack mode all season. That's going to make the difference between him as being a guy that's pretty good or being great for us.
You know what? That's a great quote, and that's a great point. I have to agree with that. Exactly the difference between him and Giannis. I've never seen that Scottie Pippen quote. I think that's fair. The success of this coaching staff and organization is going to be, does he take that next step? I don't think he's right yet either. I think he's
got to play. In fairness to him, he has not played basketball. He's a big dude with, he had a back surgery. Like he's going to need 15 to 20 games to really feel comfortable fully cutting it loose. I think Sam said it, like when he dunks, like he's not like well above the basket like you would anticipate for a guy like his size.
Yeah, he does kind of scrape the rim a little bit too much for my liking. That's not him.
He's pass though.
Yeah, and he's got incredible defense still. He still can guard 1 to 5. Did you guys see him guarding Cat? Seeing him guard Karl Anthony Towns so effectively, even though they call those ticky tack fouls on him, that's why I can't like. I just find it so hard to just be mad at this kid because we've never had that player. Like even Kenyon, who in my brain, and you guys were Nets fans in the New Jersey days, and I wasn't. But and you can tell me if I'm wrong. But the best defender I remember from that era till now, or ever for the Nets, is Kenyon. Just the greatest defender that they've had. And Kenyon can't guard point guards and guards the way that he can.
No, the people like Ben Simmons have evolved from the Kenyon Martins. Like that's like they don't Kenyon Martin doesn't exist anymore. They've turned into like what Ben is.
Exactly. Great point. All right, let's close this thing out with some predictions. Kool-Aid, starting with you. Not the whole season, because everybody's going to give their season prediction, right? What are the Nets, the first 20 games, based off of what you've seen?
I told y'all, 16-4. I'm not changing that.
You still at 16-4 first 20.
And if they win more, that's even better. But to me, 16-4 is solid.
Agreed.
because there's going to be a couple of games we're going to lose just because of you know, gelling and taking the game off. This one being out,
Yeah.
all the normal stuff. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Bam
gotta
Bam.
have that.
I would be very happy if after 20 games the team was something like 13-7.
But
I think that's a real.
what do you think they're
realistic
going to
goal. You know, I anywhere from 11 to 13 wins after 20.
be? 13 wins.
Sheesh.
11 to 13 wins. Yeah, I think they're going to get out of the gate a little slow. The Nets just traditionally in their history have never really had fast starts.
No.
I know that like that correlation doesn't really mean anything because of new people and coaches, but like they've just really never had hot starts. I think if they got to 13-7, and you would be like, this team hasn't even started playing its best basketball, that would be a pretty good start for them. Like, actually, a very good
True.
start.
Teams that get thrown together like this, and especially now that it looks like I think Royce is going to start. And since Royce is going to start, there's a lot of new moving parts for you to think what I think. But
Yeah, some of the shitty teams in the league don't know they're shitty yet. So, like, still playing hard early in the year. Like, harder than maybe like an older Nets team on the team like the Wizards catches you asleep on a Tuesday. So I think they're 13-7 while they're getting their bearings. That's a really good start. 16-4, I'm taking you guys out to dinner.
Oh, we going to dinner. I'm gonna make sure I'm there for that one.
Anything
Sam-
you want from Burger King.
Sam,
That's cool.
I think
Sam,
I said
get your what are you gonna need? What are you gonna need for a Happy Meal? What based off of what you saw? Not like, of course, we had our other predictions, but based off of what you saw this preseason.
Yeah, I think I said 13-7 last time. I'll stick with that. But I do agree with Bam. I think it'll probably be somewhere between the 11 to 13 range. That's probably where I'm at.
Gentlemen, while I recognize that the 13-7 is probably the logical way to go, and Kool-Aid's prediction is tempered, even though he's ultra excited, I am going to double down and triple down on my prediction only because I feel the problems are going to come in the middle of the season when injuries and attrition start to settle in. I think that this Nets team is going to be 18-2. And I think they're going to shock people and catch people by surprise on how good they are. I'm not even sure that the superstars on the team know how good this team is going to be. All of my analysis for years and years was that we needed a player like Ben Simmons. And now that we have it, and with all of the cheat codes that Ben gives you based off the fact that he's your point guard and he lets you play three big players in the front court with him, I just see a lot of success. I don't know, man. This is what I wanted. I'm doubling down on it. 18-2. All right, gentlemen. Any more access to grind or any more things that people need to know before we take off?
Well, I'll just say, you said concerns before. I think my biggest concern is the Nets have to hit a parlay here. There's so many different things that have to go right or that could go wrong. And I think that's my biggest fear.
But Bam, hold on. Don't get away from that. Tell me, synthesize this question. Is it that it's so many things that because hitting a parlay means that someone had to win, right? And winning is not always.
You need multiple results to win.
So what I'm saying is it possible that some of those what we consider wins based off of how our history is just asking them to just be normal? Being normal is the win.
That's one of the things that has to happen. I mean, like the coach could be fired. The Durant and Kyrie could decide they don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
There's so many different things that have to go right. And if it does go right, when April comes, we'll believe that that we have a shot. And that's really all you want. Is you just want to believe in April. When the sun's peaking in April, and you start to whip out your T-shirts. I just want to believe. No, I did not believe last year in April. I think me and Sam predicted them to lose that Boston series, and frankly, we were probably too lenient in our predictions. Obviously, because they wound up getting swept. So,
nobody predicted a sweep.
Yeah, I think you predicted a sweep the other way, maybe.
4-1, 4-1, gentleman sweep.
So, like we said it the other day in the chat, like the attitude, the commitment level, like things that we should take for granted, we cannot take for granted. So that really over the first 20 games, more so than the record, like I want to see the vibes. I want to see guys picking each other up. I want to see like them come back in games that they're down, that they can maybe mail it in early, but they don't. That's the stuff that I'm going to be looking for early in the season. Come on, this is it. This franchise is either going to go forward as a team that has to be taken seriously for the next couple years, or it's going to get burned down to the ground. There's no middle road here.
No, definitely not. This is the last hurrah for them. Guys, gentlemen, we got anything else? No? Well, that is the Nets season preview.
Do. Fuck the Knicks.
Always. We are always fuck the Knicks around here.
So hard against Brunson.
It's my yo.
I can't see Knicks. The texts I get from Knicks fans, but I'm literally in the chat right now, and they're talking about how Brunson and RJ are bargains, and I'm like, I hope they are the 11 seed. I hope they're the 10 seed and they lose the first game. That's what I hope.
That I don't even want them to do that. And it's not even on which I can't predict them to do that. There's teams that are better than them.
10 seed is perfect because they get like a little hint of the playoffs, but then they get destroyed, and then their lottery odds aren't good. Right.
No, it's so crazy. You have to talk to kids to understand. Like for Trey, in Trey's world, I mean, his perspective, the Knicks are like this barbaric team that doesn't make any sense. And he's talking to kids in Manhattan. He's like, "Who's on the Knicks now?" And they'll say names like, "If you're 9, you don't know who the hell Brunson is." It's like Jalen Brunson. Did he play in college? Who is he? They don't know who he is.
He's a winner. Jalen Brunson is a winner, man.
Is he? I hope so.
Look, I've got nothing against
Villanova won.
He's a tough, hard-nosed player, but I don't think he's $30 million a year.
I don't think his stats on 2K is too special either. Like I'm telling you, these kids see it different. Anyway, enough on them. We are Pod Thorn, everybody, and that was the season preview. Peace.
Pod Thorn. Pod Thorn. Pod Thorn.